level than they are in the U.S. with only 25 students per class. But the difference there is that they have an extended school day. And so this particular study that was done actually focused on the fact that if you extend the school day, that students will still benefit more. And so today we are discussing classroom sizes in the K-12 education. Does it matter? Does it work? And so we're going to take a short break and we'll come back and discuss it further. Join us after the break.
Right now, you might be struggling through your classes or even failing them. You might be worried that you may not finish high school. There might have even been a thought that you may not be smart enough. Well, the New Heights Educational Group begs to differ. We not only think you are smart enough, but with our help, you will complete your high school diploma. The New Heights Educational Group strives to improve your academic success through its tutoring services. To learn more, please visit newheightseducation.org and contact us. New Heights Educational Group, educational resources to help reach your goals.
This podcast is brought to you by Silicon Valley High School, the world's fastest growing, video-based, self-paced, teacher-supported, fully accredited online school that's recommended by more than 96% of students. Take individual courses at just $95 each, or earn your high school diploma at any age. Check us out at svhs.co.
Welcome back. This is your host, Buffy Williams, and you're listening to the New Heights Educational Group, the New Heights Show on Education. And tonight's topic is classroom size in K-12. Does it work? Does it matter? And we were discussing before the break the effects of students attending smaller classroom sizes at an earlier age and whether the classroom reduction size matters. And we also talked about some of the realities and the myths of classroom reduction sizes and considering these factors in choosing or evaluating schools and their performance as to whether or not the effectiveness of the teaching style works, because we know that we have to look at quality learning of the teachers. We have to look at the school leadership, also looking at the school size and the amount of parental involvement. So all of these factors are extremely important as we look at whether or not school sizes, classroom sizes are going to be the proper solution so that students can have a greater educational experience or more enriching educational experience, I guess I should say. I know a lot of parents have opted to start homeschooling their children, and distance education is on the rise. And I wanted to talk about this in relation to COVID-19 and going into the fall, because I guess as a parent, but not having someone in the K-12 area right now, I would be wondering as a parent if there is a reduction in classroom size, if we're still going to be social distancing, if my actual school will be able to accommodate that, and if not, what does the school year look like for my child in the coming fall? And so I would think that some of my listeners would also be having some of those same questions that they would be asking themselves as well. So we're looking at what has the federal government done, what has the Department of Education done, what has our local and state governments done to kind of assist administrators in providing our students with the best school environment that they can, and showing the indicators of, if schools even have the capacity to be able to implement all of these demands that we're putting on them. So we have to also consider, when we're looking at quality education, looking at the framework and everything that goes into it. And so we're looking at the average class size and how do states mandate these class sizes. And we know that we talked about also in the lower grades, generally in pre-K through the third grade, they're going to have smaller classroom sizes. And then the student-teacher ratio is something I know that I kind of associated with I don't know about you guys, but I thought the actual student-teacher ratio was kind of like however many teachers you have at the school divided by however many number of students you had, and then you came up with an equation there. And so student-teacher ratio is just based on the total number of school instructional staff divided by the total number of students that are enrolled. So I kind of got that one correct. But it actually shows a smaller number than the actual class average size. Because remember, I said that you also have to factor in if teachers are teaching special classes. And so if you're looking at the flip side of that and looking at, well, how does that factor into the full-time equivalent? So if a school has a teacher, let's say they're part-time, that may skew the number, because if they have 4 part-time teachers, that only equates to 1 extra teacher. And so the numbers may look different based on just that one teacher and the ratio and the average and the number of that. And so another thing was that it also does not make a difference in the classroom size unless the classroom sizes are lower than 20. And so there are 2 factors there. So we're looking at if the classroom size is lower than 20, and then we're also looking at, is this classroom in the K through 3 area, or is it above that? Because remember, the researchers have noted that if you have the smaller classroom sizes later but don't have them earlier, that it really doesn't make a big difference in the child's perception of whether or not they're getting the quality education, and then actually having the results of academics to back that up. And so the relationship between the class size and the increased achievement of the student sometimes don't directly correlate, because there are so many other variables that come into play. So we're looking at the quality of the teacher, the environment of the student's home, the quality of the curriculum and the leadership, and then we're also looking at definitely drawing a conclusion between whether or not this class size alone is the right fit, or is going to be the most effective way to implement the school structure. And so not every school, we know, most schools are utilizing every inch of space that they have, and they try to use it in the most effective way possible. And so we need to also think about, as we advocate for education, not looking at whether or not the students actually have a smaller classroom size just for the sake of having a classroom size, is what the research basically is telling us. And so we have a responsibility as parents, we have a responsibility if we're going to be involved in education to try to assist our school districts in the best way possible in trying to increase the academic performance of our students. And so that's going to be on an individual basis, it's going to be on a case-by-case basis, and a family, household by household basis. So you have to determine for yourself. We are in an age now where we have enough options that we can look at what's going to be important for my child and most beneficial. And I know that we can have people on both ends of the spectrum that go far to the left or far to the right of that issue, and maybe over demanding things of school districts that they can't implement, or actually not taking advantage, some maybe not even taking advantage of some of the access that they do have. And so you have people on, or parents, I should say, on all ends of the spectrum. But we have to remember that the habits that our children form, early in their educational performance is what really is going to affect their academic performance. And so whether that's good or bad, we have to try to help them cope with, the classroom environment and adjust and be more agile as it relates to the things that they may encounter within that school, because we know that that's a learning process in itself. And so, being able to speak up for themselves and say that they need assistance when they need assistance, or taking advantage of teacher what am I trying to say? Teacher appointment time and parents being involved. And so it's a broad spectrum approach. And so we have to look at all the factors that are with that. And so we have veteran teachers out there. I know that we have younger and younger people coming into the educational school system, and it may not be as appealing because of all of the myths out there about what education is about. But I just want to encourage anyone who is thinking about going into the field of education that our children are worth it, our country is worth it, our future is worth it, to invest the time and the effort that it takes, to have quality instruction. Definitely work on classroom management, because that's going to be essential and key to anything, because just because you have a lower number of students doesn't necessarily mean that the classroom management is going to be well. And so having classroom management, but I just encourage those out there who are in education and those who are considering going into the field of education, that there are going to be challenges and there are going to be dilemmas that we face within the education field, but our children are worth the sacrifice of us trying to figure out, what's going to work best. And we just have a responsibility to bring our best for the time that we're presenting in front of those students. And they deserve, everything that we can give them in order to make their experience an enriching one. And understand that, a lot of schools are overcrowded, and they face issues of trying to find facility to make space for, all of these options that we think are good, but they do that at a disadvantage to other programs that actually need the space. So the school system now is totally different from when we were in school. So schools are making room not only for education, but they're also making room for, some schools have childcare centers, they have music rooms, we have gyms, they have rentable and portable classrooms. And so all of these things make it difficult if we're talking about just the core of education. If a school is already struggling to make space, but also trying to offer all those things that they feel our students need in order to be a more well-rounded, educated student within the K-12 area, we have to look at the resources that they have been provided and whether or not they can adequately provide that within the facilities that they have. And so, money is one of the factors that we know we have to have the funds. And so, advocate, on your local level with your school board, definitely, your state senators, write letters, do whatever you have to do in order to do what you think is best for your child. And so this is an individual effort, but we can all work on those relationships, and hopefully our students will be able to perform better. But also remember that teachers have a heavy workload, and they do have team teaching at some schools. They do have volunteers that come in, but education, as it always has been, is a communal effort. And so we all have a part to play. And so if we just play our part, then hopefully the field of education and the future of education is going to be brighter for our children. And I also want to mention that my heart still goes out to everyone who is suffering through this COVID-19 time, and those who have lost loved ones, or those who are suffering through being separated from their loved one, maybe because they're an essential worker or they're a healthcare worker, or maybe their loved one is in an assisted living facility and they're not able to actually see their loved ones at the rate that they used to. So my heart, prayers, and thoughts go out to all of you all. I know that this is a difficult time in our nation, but I just want to again thank my listeners for joining in with me. And on next week,